here we go. Let's take a look at this battlefield. God-Pharaoh's Gift has a gate to the afterlife on the battlefield, along with the Last Step Reaver, a Woe Strider, a Goat token, which is being sacrificed right now, it appears, yes, and a army as well. That Swamp's going to go to the bottom there for Matt. On the other side of things here for Brandon Burton, who has tied things up. It's a Krinko, a Skirk Prospector, and a 1/1 Goblin token. And it looks like Chupacabra was the draw step, but I think this card here, Witch's Vengeance, might be a little bit more important than the Chupacabra.
Yeah, especially with kind of a lot of the other engine up and running already. Again, the Witch's Vengeance is going to be... It can only be so bad against goblins. But the more that you force them to play to the battlefield and shrink the length of the game, the more powerful it's going to be.
So it looks like... we're going to Stitcher Supplier first. A little surprised by that, perhaps? Am I missing something here?
I mean, I guess the you can afford to wait a turn, I guess.
Well, that's the thinking.
I know. I'm not. I'm not saying I'm there.
Sense, right?
I know. I'm not saying that I'm there. I'm saying that's the thinking.
Okay. We all know how this story ends. Opponent Peels Muxus goes absolutely bonkers, where they couldn't have otherwise. So this could backfire badly. Feast of Forgotten Gods among the cards here on the scry that are going to go to the bottom. There's been multiple scries this turn, so that's why I phrase it that way. Gate to the Afterlife. Draw and discard. Okay, well, if the thought process is, hey, I get to see a couple of cards here, and if I find a land, I can still do what I want to do, then by all means, do that thing.
Yeah, I guess with multiple draws and multiple scries, it's a pretty good shot at it.
Yeah, okay. Search your library for God-Pharaoh's Gift. All right, so now God-Pharaoh's Gift on the battlefield. There is a land. Trigger. We're going to get something back. Chupacabra, I suppose. Could be Massacre Worm, too.
Massacre Worm's not bad to get back.
No, I don't hate that.
But I can also say...
Please continue.
I was going to say, Chupacabra basically means that even if your opponent spikes Muxus, there's a realistic cap on how bad it can be, and then Massacre Worm the next turn cleans up everything.
Might even just kill you, too.
Whereas if you Massacre Worm now, your Chupacabra might on the next turn might not be enough to handle everything they Muxus into.
Well, is it time for a little RNG? Matron will get you home, Muxus will get you home. Matron can find Muxus. Muxus is just the draw. It's just a mountain. So there you go. Matt Dore was able to fade what could have been a horrible set of circumstances.
I mean, it would require a pretty wild spike to be able to overwhelm Massacre Worm plus Witch's Vengeance the next turn, but it wasn't 0%. It happened from that spot.
Yeah.
But there wasn't even a Muxus in hand up until that point. So Burton would have had to catch a number of breaks to make it happen, but wasn't impossible.
Well, we're going to see an attack here and an activation of Castle Embereth. Kill some of this stuff. Skirk Prospector very smartly not attacking. Plan is to probably sacrifice these goblins, so on and so forth, but you'd hate to end the game without Witch's Vengeance ever being cast in an effective manner, I guess I would say. So there's Stitcher's Supplier. Now there's the God-Pharaoh's Gift trigger. Yeah, well, Massacre Worm looks good. Trigger on. Be a good time to sacrifice some goblins here. Now, you talked about how it takes quite the spike here with Muxus, and now the draw of Goblin Matron has gotten significantly worse, and so far as your plan of Matron for Muxus is, that's basically off the table. Massacre Worm resolving now. Now here come your beatdowns. Draw, Shatter Skull Smashing.
Yeah, you can't win the game from this spot with removal. It's got to be, Muxus. This might buy a little bit of time, but not even a ton, really.
Yeah, I agree. You can't win this spot with removal, but you can buy yourself another draw step.
Yes,
and that might be okay. See how Brandon Burton wants to rock and roll here. All right, take care of the Massacre Worm. Gate of the Afterlife, the draw. Take a quick look in the bin. Nothing too crazy going on there. Ghost Rider probably the best of the bunch, if I had to guess. Maybe there's a reason that Lazatap Reaver is better.
Well, I mean, you might be able just to escape the Woe Strider and then get something else back, but
sure.
Yeah, there's no Haymaker in there. Not that Dore needs a Haymaker necessarily. Position's pretty good, but you would like to get this over with as soon as possible because, again, Muxus is just always... It's always on the front of your mind as something that can let your opponent catch up in a game that looks unwinnable otherwise.
Goblin War Chief is not a Muxus, folks. It's a Goblin, but it's not the Goblin Grandee. And that's going to do it there for Brandon Burton. Wasn't able to peel Muxus to get himself out of that situation. That means Matt Dore is going to win this game and match here over Brandon Burton. So Mono Black God Pharaoh's Gift is going to take care of